You're not lost, you're just independent for the first time. Loneliness is the gap between who you were and who you're becoming. I did everything I was supposed to do. I graduated even early. I traveled. I lived in another city and then decided I wanted to move somewhere else. I've been in Barcelona for 6 months. I got a full-time job right after college. I actually got an internship right after, and then I got a job before even finishing that internship. It's all great. But why do I still feel lonely? Why am I still missing that part of my life that was for 3 years? Hello, my name's Lucia. I'm currently in Barcelona, but I just did my uni years in London for 3 years. I am Spanish and American, but I've spent most of my life living in the US. So this is kind of me figuring out Spain for the first time, having a brain, because I was way too small to really understand what was going on when I was living in Spain. I've been living post-grad since March 2025, and I moved to Madrid, which was supposed to be my long-term place. Then I realized it wasn't the place for me, and I decided to move to Barcelona and also travel the entire summer. I traveled for like 2 months around Europe, and then for a month around Southeast Asia with my best friend. And I went to my top destinations, such as Korea, which was a dream of mine for a really long time. I went to Bali, Thailand, Singapore, and I just didn't stop for like 3 to 4 months. I've been working a full-time job for 6 months already. Actually, this month I made 6 months, and I have been living independent for quite a while now. I would say this is my 4th year being independent, moving out of home, but this is my first year being, I would say, fully independent, as like I'm paying my rent, I have a full-time job, I am paying the bills, I am doing everything by myself. I'm also 21 years old. I just turned 21 in August, so this is pretty much everything very new to me, and I just want to give you this context to understand where my brain is coming from and where my thoughts are coming from, and just to show you that I have been doing this by myself for a really long time. The first time I lived out of home, I moved from Miami, Florida to London, England, literally the week I turned 18, and I was living for the first year in London by myself in a studio dorm. My uni experience was very much as if it was a master's. We had a building in the middle of the city, and I would go to the building, and if you had friends, awesome. If not, you would literally just come in and out of class. You had class for like 2 hours of the day, and then for the rest of the day, you're just in the city. I've become a pro at being independent. I've become a pro at being abroad by myself. I've become a pro at basically figuring life as I go. And somehow, still, post-grad, almost a year later, I feel like I failed. One thing that I've realized is if you're feeling lonely after graduating, it's not because you're failing, it's because you're doing something hard. And that's okay. And it's good to, first of all, realize that this is a very important transitional moment in your life. You've gone from having so much structure in your life and from knowing exactly what you need to do to suddenly you can do whatever the fuck you want. And that is amazing. We really can do whatever we want. I could really just end my job tomorrow and decide I'm going to be traveling full time. Obviously you need money for that, but if you figure out, if you do have the means for that, you really could do that. You can also figure out what the fuck you want to work in. You can also realize that you want to stay home and you want to live at home and use whatever money you earn to travel and to do new things. And maybe you work for 6 months and then you quit your job and you decide to travel for another 3 months and then you get another job and you come back. There's just so many options of everything you can do. Also, this is something that you were probably told this when you were applying for masters or for just university in general. Whatever you study does not end up being what you are going to be doing long term. If there's something that I've learned just in less than a year of being post-grad is that everything changes so fast, and what you think is going to happen at the beginning is not what's going to happen at the end. It's only been 9 months of being post-grad, 10, and somehow I have lived in 2 cities. I have traveled literally around the world. I have had 3 apartments. So if there's one lesson that I've learned so far in this entire process of postgrad is nothing will go according to plan. And that is good. A lot of friends that are in a couple end up living with their partner right now. Actually, most of them break up. And I've already experienced people getting engaged, which to me it's crazy because I graduated early. Why am I already experiencing people being proposed to? It's insane to me. It's chaotic. Post-grad life, it's very chaotic, and I'm here to tell you that because it's different, or because you're feeling lonely, or because you're feeling overwhelmed, doesn't mean that you're failing. It means that you're actually going in the right direction. Independence is not supposed to be glamorous. Independence is not supposed to be something that's easy. It's actually supposed to be hard. You're going to have to get used to the quiet moments, the hard moments, the overwhelming moments, the moments where you don't know what the fuck you're doing, the moments where you're running around and you have so many things on top of your plate and you do not know what to do, the moments where you get home and you don't have time to cook, but you have to eat. Or I work a full-time job, so I have to take sometimes when I go into the office my food, so I realized I didn't have time to cook my lunch for tomorrow. There's so many things that will go on top of your plate, but that is the beauty of independence, and that's the beauty of growth. Oh, you look so mature for your age. Oh, you're so ahead for your age. I'm this way because of my early independence, and I've said this before in another podcast episode, but I am literally independent because I have forced to be independent at a very, very young age. I was not like this. I was not this quote unquote put together until I lived by myself that first year in London. That first year that I lived in London, a lot of things happened. I went through a very traumatic and depressive friendship breakup, a friend of like 7+ years. And that really changed the way that I view the world. I also went through a very toxic relationship at the time. And I also was living by myself in a new country, in a new city that I've never been to before. And I was also at uni my first year, which wasn't even like the college experience of you were constantly put in a dining hall, or you are put in clubs, or you're put in a lot of social situations. You had to make the effort of talking to people, and you had to make the effort of making friends. I learned a lot from that experience. It was really hard. It was a lot. It was a lot of things accumulating, but it made me mature so fast, and it made me grow so fast at such a young age. I would say that the year I turned 18, the year I was 18, my life completely shifted. I fully became a working adult and someone with emotional intelligence. I can tell you I was a mess. Independence feels lonely because you remove distractions. And this is something that, again, I experienced my first few years of being independent. I had to find a routine for myself. One of the best things about independence is that you learn how you work. And this is why I always tell people that it should be a priority to always, at some point in your life, live by yourself. Maybe in a dorm, make sure you get, if you're able to afford it, get a solo dorm one of the years at college, or post-grad, if you can afford it, live in a studio apartment by yourself. At some point, before you move in with a partner for the rest of your life, it is so vital to experience venture of living by yourself. It builds you and will make you so strong. Not only will you understand yourself, but you will be so much in your thoughts. You will know yourself inside and out. It forces you to spend so much time reflecting by yourself. It forces you to learn how you cope when there's silence, understand how I work. But this is because I've lived by myself. This is because I have gone through so many hardships where I had to be in silence, sitting in a room by myself, because I've had so many solo dates, because I've had so many solo weeks where I have to be by myself. You know, I know exactly how I work, and I'm so content, and I love spending time with myself. I am my own best friend. I don't feel alone when I'm by myself. I find this to be such a vital thing that no one thinks and talks about in their 20s. And it should be a requirement. Before you spend the rest of your life living with your best friend, before you spend the rest of your life living with a partner, prioritize getting to know yourself. How can you be a good person to your best friend or to your partner or to your family if you are not even a good person to yourself, if you don't even know yourself, if you don't even know what you act like when you're sad in a room by yourself, when you have to get yourself to the doctor by yourself because you're dying? To this day, I'm like, thank God that happened. Like, thank God I lived by myself and I had that experience, and I want to do it again. Hopefully I'm able to do it again. It's very expensive to do it, but I really do recommend putting it in a list of things that I want to do if I can afford them. Independence is earned through discomfort. So being uncomfortable should be the goal. Being out of your comfort zone should be the goal. For example, I've talked about this other times, solo travel. I've done it once, I'm going to do it again. I've had had so many solo dates and solo days. Start by that. If you're too scared to go on a solo trip by yourself, let's start by doing solo days or solo dates. I was talking to a coworker the other day, and she was telling me how, oh my God, I want to do a solo trip, but I'm so scared. How did you do it? Da, da, da. I was like, can you go to a restaurant by yourself? She told me, yeah, I've gone out to eat by myself. Okay, you can go solo trip. You have gone to the airport by yourself. You can get a coffee by yourself. You can go to a restaurant by yourself. You can go on a solo trip. That's literally what a solo trip is. I used to be very uncomfortable walking around the street without headphones. Imagine Lucia comes from Miami. She's always in her car. I was super, super blessed that I had a car. So I went from driving everywhere and listening to music to suddenly I have no car. I'm in a big city, new country, and you want me to awkwardly walk places? You're telling an American that she has to walk places without music? She just has to awkwardly walk and stare at things and people. I was so uncomfortable with the feeling of walking around the street without anything on to protect me from people. Even the tube, I wouldn't be able to take the tube, which is the metro in London, without headphones for such a long time. I felt so uncomfortable sitting in the tube just staring at people without anything to protect me. I used to wear my big AirPods Max just to feel like I had a shield from people. And you know what? That's how I started. I took it one step at a time. I was uncomfortable being outside in the street by myself. I was uncomfortable taking the tube around the city by myself. How did I start facing it? I put on headphones. Baby steps. And it worked for me. Now, most of the time I leave the house to go on a walk by myself, which I do every single day. I go without headphones. I've taken the bus, I've taken the metro, I go biking around Barcelona without headphones. 2 things that you've been putting off. I am playing music and I'm putting my clothes on my Vinted that I'm selling. So down below will be my Vinted because I'm selling my clothes. Just taking those little moments to appreciate time and silence. Thank you so much for watching this week's episode. I know it's been a little late, also a little all over the place. It's been a very hectic week. My 9 to 5 is a thing, so we have to prioritize that. But yeah, I will be linking below my Substack. I'm starting a newsletter. I know, crazy. Why are you starting a newsletter? Because I like to talk. And I made a Substack, and I'm deciding that I'm going to be writing about recommendations in Barcelona of coffee, wine bars, my favorite recommendations for London. My Google Map pins are insane. So I will be making a post about my favorite places to get drinks in London, my favorite places to get food in London, my favorite parks in London and why, for what, and also Barcelona, also my favorite things, a whole explanation of my trip around Southeast Asia this summer and where I stayed and my itinerary. I'm going to basically start a travel column. We would call it a travel column. That's basically what it's going to be. I didn't think about what to call it, but now I just realized exactly what it is. Yeah, and I'll also be linking down below my Notion template. I made a 2026 goal setting template. I love Notion. I use it every single day, and I made this template for myself for goal setting and keeping tracks, and it's very detailed. So I'm very proud of myself, and I made a template for you guys so you can also just customize it yourself and use it with your own things. So it'll all be linked down below. If you are enjoying any of this content and you have any recommendations of anything you want to see, please comment down below and join our little internet space, our little corner. Have a great week.